In the headlines, the APP defends MP Danny Lugay and opposes spending $32,000 on housing the Prime Minister. A cash transfer grant expected to positively impact hundreds of farmers. And a new policy to align the goals of scholarship students with national development targets. I am Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News, back with the details after this.
Avec Flow, and mettez on top up, sign up, quittez yo, every video join Flow. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
Are you still washing your hands regularly, wearing your mask in public, and practicing social distancing? 0 cases does not mean COVID-free. Stay home if you're not well to keep others from getting sick. Continue to avoid crowds in public spaces. Always keep your guard up. We're still fighting this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, the Alternative People's Party, APP, has voiced its disdain at the recent events involving Member of Parliament for the Roseau North constituency, Danny Lugay, at the hands of the police force. Mr. Lugay, who has threatened legal action after being arrested but not charged, was released from police headquarters following an incident near the Prime Minister's residence in Mont Daniel earlier this month. According to a press release from the APP, it opposes the $32,000 monthly rent for the Prime Minister's residence, as the party believes it is unfair to the citizens, especially those who no longer receive government housing assistance. The press release went on to say that recent activities have made the APP's concerns even more dire, and the party is disturbed by media reports and the personal accounts coming from the Honorable Leader of the Opposition UWP, Mr. Lennox Linton, and his opposition parliamentary colleague, the Honorable Member for Roseau North, Daniel Lugay, that Mr. Lugay alleges he was mishandled by police in the vicinity of the Prime Minister's Mont Daniel residence. The APP is asking the authorities to exercise patience and use wise judgment when dealing with the citizens. The party in turn is appealing to citizens to stand firm on their conviction always. During the budget debate in Parliament earlier this month, MP for the Maho constituency, Reuben Blackmore, was among those who defended the $32,000 rental property for the Prime Minister.
Estimate 1998-1999 on page 58, and you'll see the similarities. Office of the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, whose West Side was still going to the university, maybe at the school teaching, college teaching. Page 58, Office of the Prime Minister. And it says, casual labor, $25,000. You can read it, I can give it to you after. And it goes on, and it says, furniture, tools, equipment, $151,000. And it goes on and says, rental of property, $141,000, 1998 to 1999, Office of the Prime Minister. And it goes on, and it talks about maintenance, $594,000. I would assume it was the residence of the Prime Minister then. And then it has unclassified, $724,000. I can go back to 1999 and 2000. The rendition remains the same in terms of the line items, Mr. Speaker. And you see, this fellow, and a member for Roseau North, I'll get to him just now. And it goes, Office of the Prime Minister, the same thing, casual labor, $291,000. That is 1999 to 2000. And it's not, the cabinet secretariat is separate, and all the other departments are separate, but that by itself, and it continues, Mr. Speaker, rental of property, and it goes on, maintenance, $850,000.
In other top stories, over 500 farmers to benefit from a cash transfer grant by the end of this week. Julian Morris has that story.
The cash transfer grant forms part of the World Bank-funded Emergency Agricultural Livelihoods and Climate Resilience Project. Project manager in the Project Implementation Unit, Kevin Stevenson, says to date over 200 farmers have received funds, while another 300 should receive financial assistance by the end of the week.
In terms of the cash program, we have been a little slow in that we are in the costs between the budget. So we happen to pay 204 farmers before the budget, and we are hoping with the reservation of funds this week, we can pay a further 330 plus farmers through the credit union system. We have the other batches of farmers working on so that we can submit on the Treasury, so that we can facilitate payment maybe by next week. So with the cash payment, over 200 farmers have been paid already, and we are hoping that over 300 credit union accounts can be deposited sometime in the course of this week.
An appeal is being made to farmers who have been approved under the program to collect their inputs in order to receive the monetary assistance.
In terms of the main program itself, the project we have over 1922 applications that have been received. Out of the 1922, 1910 have been approved. Out of the 1910 that have been approved, we have around 1766 have signed their agreements. Out of the 1766 that have signed the agreements, we have around 1384 that have picked up inputs at the warehouses. So basically, there is a appeal for farmers who have signed to come and pick up their inputs, because to get eligible for cash, you would have had to have signed, pick up your inputs, and verify by the extension officers that you're an active farmer.
This program is targeting 3,000 farmers island-wide, and Stevenson is encouraging those who haven't done so yet to apply for assistance under the project.
The original target for crop farmers is 3,000 farmers. However, we're still way below. As I said, we only have a 1922 application received. So basically, we're hoping that all applications received going through the process will be paid. In other words, because we have not achieved our targets with crops, the application process for application for crops, both for new farmers who did not have cultivation before Mario, but as a result of COVID was affected, in addition to the existing farmers that were affected prior to Mario, for some reason didn't apply, they can now apply. Again, we have seen on a weekly basis the applications are coming in slowly but surely.
On to educational matters, curriculum changes to focus education on much more than just preparing the student for the CSEC or CXC exam. The discussion has already started on how best to proceed with a curriculum which takes into account the education sector plan. Government and policymakers are concerned that physical education has been replaced by a textbook limiting student interaction. The Prime Minister wants students adequately prepared for the world of work. He is concerned that the desired outcomes are not being achieved.
Are we not too CXC driven in the Ministry of Education and the school system? So from the time you get into first form, everybody looking to CXC and not preparing the student for the world of work and for the environment that he has to deal with?
So we teach for testing. Yeah. We busy teaching for the test. And
well, how do you change it? How do you change it?
Everybody wants 10 ones. And then you go to college and you need just 2. Then you go to university and you need none. Then you look at the curriculum, and if you do a horizontal mapping, you're realizing that most of the thing in Agri and INTI, Food and Nutrition, PE, HSB and Bio, if you check out the units, there are 3 and 4 common units. So if you know how to play it, a child who's doing bio, you can easily get them to pass INTI and HSB. You understand? It's just to look at what the bio haven't got, 2 units, and throw it in and tell them you can pass that, man. If you're doing bio, you can pass HSB at ease. So sometimes we work it like that, but it doesn't necessarily do anything much for our students. Because now we need to be looking at more than 10 ones. We need to be looking at children being able to use what they learn in the classroom outside of the classroom.
The Prime Minister says changing the curriculum can no longer be delayed.
From where I sit and from my own involvement in the education system in Jamaica for the last several years, I believe time is of the essence. I believe I don't think we can delay the curriculum reform any further. And I would really like to see the ministry and of course the nation or country move with haste with revisiting the curriculum, because I am concerned that we might be spending a lot of money and not many people are benefiting, or more people could be benefiting from this moving forward. I mean, for example, I've been talking about in the public domain for years about civics in the classroom. Many students do not know their rights and their responsibilities as citizens. They do not know anything about nationhood. But now we are all preoccupied with this acronym called CXE, and anything that is not of CXE, then we cut it off. And I am concerned, and I've said so publicly, and people may be wondering, well, you're the Prime Minister, you can impose it, and so forth. And contrary to what people will believe, that this is not a one-man government or a one-man state. Something I wish it was. But we really have to get it going. I am very, very concerned about this. That this is a critical part of developing and molding our future generations, and I think we're missing on this, and we need to make space and time.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
Giving away $40,000 in cash, 2 bags of money plus $1,000 every Friday.
We're flowing better every day, and now we're making parties great. That's 3 ways that you can play. So listen up.
Top up.
$10 or more.
Sign up.
Just switch the flow.
Get a plan.
1 gig or more. If you want to win cash galore.
We flow.
Win a bag of money.
Cash out.
Get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? From Flow.
So top up, get a plan, or switch now to win. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
Are you still washing your hands regularly, wearing your mask in public, and practicing social distancing? 0 cases does not mean COVID-free. Stay home if you're not well to keep others from getting sick. Continue to avoid crowds in public spaces. Always keep your guard up. We're still fighting this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Education to introduce a new policy to ensure students pursue fields of study that are in sync with the country's national development priorities. The Labour administration has been implementing a policy to ensure there is 1 university graduate per household, but questions are being raised as to the relevance of some of the choices students are making in terms of their degrees. The Minister for Education says the dream of having 1 university graduate per household is within reach, but these degrees must be relevant and must fit within the National Development Framework.
That policy will also help us know where our students are. It will also help us to ensure that students are studying programs that are on the national list of priorities, so that when they come home, we can use them. That will also guide us to ensure that students do not just change their program after 6 months. Because if the government sponsors you to go away to study something that the country needs, and when you get to wherever you are, you realize, that's a little too challenging for me, and you change. You will not be able to do that without asking permission, because we didn't send you there for psychology or business administration. We send you for, you understand? So, because a number of students change their courses without even seeking permission, without even informing us. So we have a policy that will take effect soon, which will guide some of what we do as pertains to the scholarships.
A marketing program is being developed to raise awareness on Dominica's architectural heritage. Julian Morris tells us more.
That's on the cards for the new executive of SHIP, the Society for Heritage Architectural Preservation and Enhancement, which voted in a new executive recently. Vice President of the Society, Michael Lees, says the new board has several ideas for the preservation of Dominica's historic architectural buildings, which can be used as a gateway to the future.
These old buildings can mean a couple things for the future. One of which, I think you've seen Dominica sort of as one of the less developed destinations has actually become a great destination for eco-tourists who are sort of sick of what they're used to and kind of going back to something else, right? And so there's a huge attraction for that as well in terms of architecture. These could actually be great tourist attractions. And not only that, these traditional architectures have also withstood Maria and so many other storms. So I think you can see they have a lot of value in multiple aspects.
There are currently 3 buildings with SHIP plaques in the city of Roseau. Lee says the marketing plan will focus on growing awareness of SHIP and its mandate to boost the knowledge of historical architecture.
One thing that we've already been doing is a couple walks around Roseau, trying to identify buildings and then chatting with the owners. As well as that, we're making sure that we're going to be very present on social media. On Facebook, it's Shape Dominique with a K. Okay. And on Instagram, it's shape.dominique. It's a movement, right? So raising that awareness amongst the whole population, celebrating the tradition and the culture, and then reaching out through social media, in person and everything else to show people what can be done and what else is being done in the Caribbean and elsewhere.
SHIP's revived drive to preserve architectural buildings in Roseau was driven in part by the demolition of the Jean Rees building on the corner of Independence Street and Cork Street. Funding is one of the ways in which SHIP continues on its mission of protecting buildings, and though the COVID-19 pandemic has affected every sphere of life, Lee says it is still possible to get funding for their projects.
Right now, the coming of COVID has sort of coincided with the transition of a whole new SHIP board and committee and everything else. I guess sort of the question is thinking about funds available to get things done. I would say that where there's a will, there's a way, and everyone on board is committed to making things happen. What can't be done now will become available in the future. And that said, there are still grants out there available to get stuff done.
The Society for Heritage Architectural Preservation and Enhancement, SHIP, was founded in 1997.
And the lack of trained professional instructors is hampering the local effort towards greater expansion of the Caribbean Vocational Qualifications, or CVQs. CVQ is an award that represents the achievement of a set of competencies. These competencies define the core work practices of an occupation and are consistent with the levels within the regional qualification network.
TVET has a critical role to play in education. We still have a lot of work to do, especially in terms of, since 2011 to now, some of the plants, some of the labs that were developed have deteriorated. So now we have to revisit to improve on the infrastructure. In some of our schools, we still have issues with training of teachers. If we just want to give students knowledge for their own information, what we have is okay. But the ideal for us would be to give students a CVQ qualification. And that requires a lot in terms of the standards that have to be set for garment production, for food preparation, for woodwork. And one of the main, we still having challenges with staff. Teachers trained in the areas to teach the areas.
Prime Minister Skerrit suggests attracting qualified trainers from outside the school establishment if they cannot be found inside.
I think we need to put circulars out to the public and people who have the requisite qualifications would come forward. I think that's something we need to look at. But because we need to ensure that the investments that we make, we can see a return on it, and technical vocational education is very, very critical in small economies like ours, because we need a plumber, we need electrician, we need people with various skills. A lot of our uniforms are being manufactured or out of Dominica for many of our businesses. There are opportunities for employment and keeping money in our economy and benefiting the Dominican economy and the Dominican population.
CVQs are competency-based qualifications that are granted on the basis of assessment of individuals against regionally approved standards.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Are you still washing your hands regularly, wearing your mask in public, and practicing social distancing? 0 cases does not mean COVID-free. Stay home if you're not well to keep others from getting sick. Continue to avoid crowds in public spaces. Always keep your guard up. We're still fighting this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
With Flow, win a bag of money, cash out, get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow.
Yo, check this. Flow is giving away $30,000 in cash.
Oh, yeah.
2 bags of money plus $1,000 every Friday.
With Flow is better every day, and now we're making Fridays great. That's 3 ways that you can play. So listen up.
Top up.
$10 or more.
Sign up.
Just switch to Flow.
Get a plan.
1 gig or more. If you wanna win cash galore.
With Flow.
Win a bag of money.
Cash out.
Get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow.
So top up, get a plan, or switch now to win. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
To end the news, the headlines again. The APP defends MP Danny Luge while opposing spending $32,000 on housing for the Prime Minister. A cash transfer grant expected to positively impact hundreds of farmers. And a new policy to align the goals of scholarship students with national development targets. Feel free to access or past the newscast on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis. And to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us next time.